Coming up next on Parent Connection, what is a literacy bag and what's all in it? Thank you for joining us on Parent Connection. Today we're going to learn all about a literacy bag, and our guests are Rebecca Haas and Melanie Carter. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, before we get started on talking about the literacy bag, tell us a little bit about yourselves, what you do, who you work for.
Sure. So my name is Rebecca Haas. I generally go by Becky. I'm the Programming and Outreach Manager for the Anne Arundel County Public Library.
Great.
And I'm Melanie Carter. I work for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and I serve as the Primary Talent Development Teacher Specialist for the Advanced Learner Programs Office under the direction of Advanced Studies and Programs.
So Becky, I see that you brought something today.
I
in this
did.
great bag. So tell us what this is.
Sure. I'm glad you asked. All right, so this is our literacy bag. Let me share it with you. We have a number of great books. We have Baby Faces, and That's Not My Bunny, and a lot of really fun materials and resources for parents. The building of early literacy blocks, Healthy Beginnings, which is a great tool put together through the MSDE, page about playing, some website resources. It's really just a great kit of things to do to help build literacy for your kids and your family. And then there's also a coupon from Franklin Toys, which is one of our partners.
So, Melanie, what's the history of the literacy bag? How did literacy bags come about, and who gets a literacy bag?
Well, literacy bags, the first initiative was in 2011-12 under the direction of then Superintendent Kevin Maxwell and the leadership of Mary Talar she was the Director of Special Ed at the time. And the purpose and the goal of literacy bags was to promote a love of learning and of books and to reach out to first-time parents. The bag was really the epitome of the belief that parents are children's first teachers. The bags and all the materials in them were a partnership from Anne Arundel County Public Schools in conjunction with Anne Arundel County Public Library Foundation, First Books, the Anne Arundel County Early Childhood Coalition, and Franklin's Toys, who donated so many of the materials and the coupon. And the first initiative in 11-12 had 500 bags that were distributed to first-time parents at Anne Arundel Medical Center and Baltimore Washington Medical Center, and they were distributed in 2 cycles. And we really believe that the initiative promoted community involvement. It supported the link between literacy and school readiness, and above all, it used the Anne Arundel County's platform and mission for outreach to our communities.
So you're saying they're giving out at the medical center. So if I'm there and just have a child, someone's going to come in and give me the bag with all this in it?
Yes, absolutely. If you're a first-time parent, we wanted to put books in the hands of first-time parents so that they can begin that very, very important journey of sharing a love of language, of literacy, of looking at books, and at playing with language, because we know how important that is for both school and life success. So the initiative was to put books in the hands of first-time families. So that was in 2011-12, and the feedback was so positive that, again, this year, we're trying to revamp and move it out again this year.
Well, I love the idea, and I think it's great that parents, first of all, I'm sure as a new parent, that's really wonderful to get that little gift with books in it and all the tips, because everyone is so nervous if it's your first child or if it's your third child with, you know, I'm taking this little child home now and they're mine. So I think that is really wonderful, and we're finding that our parents really are into researching and looking at and trying to find out what they should do with their children. So that's wonderful. What does the initiative, the current literacy bag initiative, look like?
So now it's a partnership with the Anne Arundel County Public Schools and the 21st Century Foundation, and we're now going to be doing 1,000 bags.
Wow.
So we're going from 500 to 1,000 bags, and also with the Library Foundation helping to support and fund this. So Carol McMurdy is the executive director, and we met and talked, and yeah, we're all on board to do it again and do it even better.
Well, I think that's really great. And you mentioned your foundation and our foundation, which is the 21st Century Foundation. So, you know, if our listeners are hearing, if you're giving to those organizations, this is something that one of the initiatives that you're actually supporting.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, if we are giving to a foundation, we want to know where the money's going. So I think that everyone would love to hear that. What do you feel are the benefits of a literacy bag to the parent and child?
The benefits, of course, are to the parent and child, but they are also benefits to the school system and to society at large. The first benefit is the bonding. When a child and a parent have laughed reading and they're looking at a book, there's a bonding, a social thing that happens only in those intimate sections. So I would say the major benefit is to encourage and promote that bonding. The natural outgrowth of that is to begin to love language and books, and to play with them and to be excited about them. And we know that for early learners, perhaps the most important component of communication is oral language. And I have to digress just a minute to say there's a lot of research that supports the importance of oral language, and the most telling or revealing research is that which was published in 1995 by Hart and Risley. And it was an exciting research for early childhood people such as myself, because it's a longitudinal research. For 2.5 years, they monitored oral language in 42 families.
Wow.
And at the age of 3, they found that children from professional families heard 11 million words. Conversely, children from families of welfare or great poverty heard 3 million words. So think about that gap between 11 million words and 3 million words. The study didn't stop then. They went back when the children were 9 years old, and they had strong connections between the gap that was available in literacy continued when children were 9 years old in their outcomes in school. So that is a huge, huge piece of data, and makes significant oral language. And what can promote oral language more than sitting with books? I did take the liberty of lifting the conclusion from Hart and Risley's 1995 study, because I think it is so powerful. This is from Meaningful Differences. The conclusion says, the most important aspect for very young children, and remember we're talking about children that are coming home from the hospital, is the amount of talk actually going on, moment by moment, between children and their caregivers. And what promotes talk more than lap reading, looking at books, and playing with children?
I think that's so significant, and especially in this era where we have so many electronics. And sometimes we tend, not necessarily with infants, but as our children get a little older, giving the electronics, they're engaged, and sometimes we think, well, they're learning but I think we're missing that piece of talking to your children all the time. And all of us that have had young children, sometimes at that 2.5 age where they're asking why, what, and repeating everything, sometimes I know that can be stressful for parents, but maybe that's a good time to just take that break, go to a book, read a book with your child, go through it and talk. It kind of can maybe get some of the questions a little break for you. And I think even for the children, even if you're not reading right at the moment, just talking about the books or having them go and explore on their own is important.
What you say is so significant, because language at that age, 2.5 or 3, really is foundation for school readiness, which is a tremendous goal. And also it really extrapolates into the system's goal to have every child reading at 2nd grade level or beyond when they're in 2nd grade. So all of the things that we do from birth through age 5 are fundamental to school success.
Right. So if I'm a parent and I just got this at the hospital, I come home, what can I do with it? Like, what are some ideas that I could use?
No, there's so many fun things you can do. I mean, with the Baby Faces book, see how fun and interactive. It has different pictures. We know that the kids are really loving to see other baby faces, and they pull into that. And you can use it like a toy even. My favorite, of course, is Who's Hiding Behind the Peekaboo Monkey? right? So then it becomes a game, right? You have the peekaboo monkey, and every parent knows the peekaboo
Right.
game. Everybody loves peekaboo. Peekaboo, baby, where's she gone? You know, and so then the book becomes almost like a toy.
Right.
And then you're not just doing a toy, you're doing literacy, early literacy, because you're learning about what a book is, right?
How to
You
use it.
How to use it, how you open it, how it has a spine, how it has pages, how the pages are turning. You know, all of that stuff is just that core foundational book knowledge that we take for granted, but it needs to be part of the education of our kids. And that's what's so important at the library then too, is that you can come into the library and maybe on those off days and you need a
Right.
little extra support, the library can be one of those sources of support. So you can come in, we have our Every Child Ready to Read programs. They're for 0 to 5. We have the Babies in Bloom, toddler time, and preschool story time, and it's so much fun. It's really interactive. We have so many different props we have, puppets and felt boards and bubbles, and it's just a really fun way to interact with your kid and learn about the love of reading. We also are going to be doing canvas bags this year, so then that's going to keep supporting, you know, coming to the library, you check out your books, you take them home, plus those canvas bags you can use all the time as new parents anyway, when you go to the grocery store, whatever, you always can use a bag. So that's going to be something new this year, is the canvas bags.
Okay. Well, I know I've taken my youngest grandson just recently to story time, and it's interesting to see because he's just turned 1, but then you have all of the other different ages, and everyone is doing something a little different. I know with the bubbles, they're all running around, and the dance times, that it's really engaging, and you want them to see the library and really see the library as a place that they love to go, to foster that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we need to think about, maybe as some of our people are hearing it and they're thinking, well, literacy bags, at baby showers you get a lot of books, but I think there's a lot of people that don't understand. There are families who don't have books in the home.
That's right.
And that is really significant in early literacy. Do one of you want to speak to that?
Well, absolutely. There is research that says children of poverty sometimes have no more than one book in the home, and very often that's the Bible. If they have a few books, there are not always books that are age appropriate for them, and I think that's what's kind of exciting about the initiative here, is that both of these books are geared towards brand new little babies. You notice that they were a board book and they were a touchy-feely book. But that invites parents to choose literature and selections and books and materials and play items that are age appropriate. And as you said, when you went to the library, your grandson was 1, he's going to interact with things differently as a 1-year-old than the little 3-year-old that's sitting next. So as parents become more and more cognizant of the milestones that children make as they move from birth to age 5, that's making them aware of the habits of mind, the skills, the behaviors, the thinking dispositions that they need for school readiness, because school readiness really comes from the Maryland model for school readiness, and it's about making sure that children are equipped with the attitudes that they're ready for the learning experiences that are going to be offered in the school. So the literacy bags are just the stepping stone into that journey. I also think another important piece is, while the bag can be used for all kinds of things, the books don't go away once an infant outgrows them. They can use them to play house when they're 3 and 4. New siblings may come along who may see the books again as first time. So it creates that culture, and it begins the community connection so that parents don't feel isolated, that they know that there are organizations and community outreach there to support them and their children, and who care about them and their children.
Well, I think that's so important, and I love the idea that the literacy bag really is a partnership between lots of different people in the community that realize how important reading is, literacy is, early childhood, and really that fostering that love of learning so early, and the skills that are needed. The part that you were saying about the vocabulary, I really find amazing, because we need all young mothers and fathers and grandparents and aunts and uncles, whoever it is that is interacting with the child, to understand how important it is to talk to the child continuously and use those words.
And not just to talk to the child, but to talk with the
That's
child.
more important.
Because that's how children kind of assimilate experiences, make new connections to new ideas. So it's the talking with, the talking about. And we know in this hurried world, if our faces aren't on our technology in our hand, we're rushing someplace, and it's very quick to say, no, sit down, let's go. If we start to say, no, I can't do that right now because, or sit down, it's important because, then children start to understand cause and effect relationships. They accelerate their neural connections in their mind about why. And we create those habits of mind for children just in very natural and meaningful ways. You spoke about partnerships, and I think we would be remiss, and I'm sure Becky would say the same thing, if we didn't speak to the Anne Arundel County's Early Childhood Coalition and the tremendous stewardship of our friend and colleague Sue Powell, who was pivotal in rolling out those 500 bags the first time. She often speaks about packing those bags and moving those bags and what the warehouse experience was like. And she has certainly been a great asset as we're moving forward with this year's initiative. So.
Well, just the fact that there is an Early Childhood Coalition and it's made up of lots of partners, daycare, people that are in the daycare world, people that are dealing with all of the children at a very young age. So I think I've worked with them before, and it's just amazing when you talk to them and you hear about different resources that even someone that's lived in the community for a long time and has children may not really know about. So I encourage people to find out more about them and to find out more about what's going on and how you can help. You know, even there, we have people who want to volunteer all the time. I mean, there's volunteers you can go to, our Judy centers, our schools, our libraries. There's so many places that you can interact with maybe young parents and children that you weren't thinking of before.
And I would concur that it's the connections, not only the resources that they can offer, but if they have one they can't offer, they know someone who can. So the connections are huge, and that is because the variety of stakeholders that kind of congregate around that Early Childhood Coalition. So I concur.
So what kind of future might the literacy bags have? What are you thinking?
Well, hopefully we're encouraging that everybody comes into the library. There's also going to be a library card in here that has all of our information about all those programs that I just described and a lot of other fun things that we have at the library. We're also going to be supporting that Every Child Ready to Read initiative that we have at the library, and our spaces are getting changes all the time. We have new furniture coming in, new resources. So yeah, check out the library. It's getting better every day. And it's just fun. We have so much fun at the library. So I do want to say we're always supporting parent as first teacher. And that's one thing that, you know, is so important for the library. And so any tools that we have to keep supporting that parent first teacher bond and with some of these kinds of resources, you know, that's what we want to do at the library.
And I know we have some of our schools that are starting students at a very young age, actually taking them to the library, or the library coming to the school and getting their first library card, and talking about the importance of that partnership between the school system and the library. I think is really, really meaningful, because I've been in schools before where students maybe in the second grade where they've taken, and that's the first time they've been in the library, or it's the first time they've ever had their own library card.
And I bet you still remember getting your first
library card. Oh, I do. I still have it.
So when we met last week, she even got out her son's library card, the old yellow with his little handwriting. I mean, those things are just so wonderful. But until you have that experience, you might not have that same level of value. So, you know, inviting people into the library is so important for us.
Well, I really love that the literacy bag is something, it's a starting point, and it's a starting point at birth. I mean, I think that is so important. Let's talk a little bit more about literacy and other things that parents are listening now that they could do. Some ideas as from birth right on up to maybe some of the older children that you're thinking of.
Well, at the library, we emphasize 5 simple skills: sing, talk, read, write, play. And you don't think about it, but those things are foundational to early literacy. So even something like "That's Not My Bunny," right? Using it to play, like touch the little fuzzy tail, it's really fluffy. You know, so playing with the books is just a simple way, but getting them to interact with it, thinking of it, touching it, learning different vocabulary. You know, my paws are too rough, right? So learning all those fun words
Right.
so that it becomes one of those play activities. So yeah, sing, talk, read, write, play. And those are the 5 skills that we emphasize all the time at the library.
And they feed right into best practices for early childhood. And Dr. Arlotto, our superintendent, his passion and his emphasis for early childhood and early literacy cannot be understated. As you said, we have children as young as 3. Some children, maybe even younger than getting early childhood intervention or
Right.
speech and language, but we welcome the support of young children and support to young children at a very, very early age. And you speak about read, write, sing, talk, and play. Play is the way children make sense of their world, especially little children. And early childhood educators in the reading office, in the math office, in the special ed office
Right.
know that the characteristics of young children are unique. It's a unique phase of human development. And when you can bring experiences to them that match their level of
Right.
development, you're going to maximize and optimize the chance that they're going to walk away with something. We know little children are egocentric. It's all about them and how they make sense of the world. And what
Right.
better way than sitting on mama's lap looking at a book with mom, and how does this feel to me? How does this look to me? We know that little children are locked in the perceptual world. Seeing is believing, so they want real things to touch and
Right.
to play with, and the board book to chew on and to manipulate and to rip and to tear, because all of that is sensory to young children. As they mature, we find that young children learn by doing, and they may take an idea from there and test it out with their parent. If they're looking at a book, patty cake, they may say, have you ever had a patty cake? Let's go make a patty cake. And so those experiences that are kind of representational in books become real through play and through hands-on activities, which are the underpinning of what our early childhood office promotes, our early childhood special ed, our early childhood math. And science is just the way the children come to know the world. So everything that's here is just the foundation to what explodes once children get into the school system.
Which is really wonderful, because we're trying to all, as a community, work together and be on the same page and be saying the same things, and so that we're really clear for parents. We're not trying to make it difficult for them to understand or afraid to do things. Sometimes, you know, there may be a little bit, if wasn't a really good reader maybe as a child, or I didn't have that experience with my own parents, then we might have parents first time that are just nervous about that or don't feel comfortable with that. But I think if we show them that we're all here for the same benefit and we want to help them as much as we want to help their child, and that I think giving them that ownership that you are their first teacher and the most important teacher they're ever going to have is so critical.
And an expanded view of what it means to be literate. Very often parents run to the grocery store and they buy that workbook and they want their child writing the letter A. For some children at some ages that is appropriate, but that is not the be-all and end-all of literacy. Literacy is all-encompassing. It is about speaking. It is about reading. It is about thinking. It is about writing. It is about doing. So early childhood people really advocate that, and really prepares not just for school readiness, but for readiness for the rigor and challenges that will accumulate as they enter the intermediate grades, middle school and high school, and adulthood. We're all still readers because somebody
Exactly.
sat with us with a book.
Right, and we caught that reading bug or that love for reading, and reading is so critical to everything. You know, if you're doing math, if you're doing social studies, no matter what the subject matter, reading is that fundamental piece that we all really need, and we want our children to love it and to love exploring reading. And that's why I know there are people who think, well, they shouldn't be reading magazines, they should be reading books. And at different ages, though, they're going to do different types of reading. And I say it doesn't really matter what they're reading, just so they're reading and they're enjoying it, they're finding fun in it. And if that happens to be a hot rod magazine or a teen magazine, whatever it is, as they get older, they're still reading. So, and they're still having that in their hand.
And that takes us back to that play is the work of children. Play is the way children make sense of their world and move into it. For adults, we don't say we play anymore, but we find joy, it's fun, or it's our passion. We use a different word. But really, it's that essence of play, something that we gravitate to because it brings us purpose and meaning and joy.
Right.
And you're going to be able to find books on hot rods and all the rest of it at the library.
Exactly. And so we really want them to see kind of what's in your community. Look around your community, find the resources. You don't have to be able to afford the most expensive books. That's great if you can, but you don't have to. There's free books for you. You can check them out. You bring them back. There's just no end to the things that you can get at the library and the resources. And talking to your child when they're starting the school system, talking to them, talking about resources if you need more at home. You know, teachers are always really anxious to help parents with that and to make sure that the student has what they need at home. So again, I think this all falls back to the partnership. So as we're, wrapping this up a little, let's talk again. Let's just remind everybody who's involved in the literacy bags and the partnerships.
So the Anne Arundel County Public Library, the Anne Arundel County Public Library Foundation, the 21st Century Foundation is part of the school. The school itself is very involved and supportive.
Right.
And the Early Childhood Coalition.
And don't forget Franklin's Toys.
Oh, Franklin's Toys, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And part of the coalition.
Yes, and the coupons in there.
Yes.
So that's an important
Really
piece
important.
too.
So just bringing all of that, business owners, educators, the library system, bringing everyone together to do one thing, and that one thing all is based around literacy. And really, I think this is so important, helping parents, new parents, understand the value of literacy, talking to your children, singing to your children, everything that you all have talked about today. I think it's really eye-opening, and I hope that as our listeners are hearing about it, they don't have young children, they might know young children or have family members, and they really share this information with their family on the importance of talking to everyone.
I think the
Your
literacy
children.
bag is really a seed that's planted in fertile ground.
Wonderful.
I
That's
really do.
that's a perfect way to end this segment. I really appreciate both of you taking the time today to be here and share all this knowledge with us, and thank you so much for what you're doing for our young children.
Our pleasure.
And thank you for joining us today on Parent Connection. Until next time.
Hi, I'm Jody Rissy, the Supervisor of Food and Nutrition Services and the host of Food for Thought. Today, I come to you with exciting news about school meals. School meals offer students a healthy school breakfast and lunch. This year, we will continue to meet and exceed federal and state nutrition standards for school meals, ensuring that all meals are well-balanced, provide students with the nutrition they need for academic success. Every day, students are offered unlimited choices of fruits and vegetables. Students are encouraged to select up to 2 cups of fresh produce each day from one of our unique salad bars in Anne Arundel County. You may also monitor your child's school meals account online at My Payments Plus. This is a convenient tool that Anne Arundel County Public Schools offers all parents to make managing school meal accounts a simple process for you, your child, and the school. To learn more about My Payments Plus, simply visit mypaymentsplus.com or call 877-237-0946. Registration is free and quick, so get started today. Each year, families have the ability to apply for free or reduced price meals. The application to apply is online. Parents, you may log on to applyformeals.aacps.org. The process is fast, easy, convenient, and it's accessible from any computer. Remember, if you received meal benefits last year, you must complete a new application each school year. If you have any questions regarding the application, please call 410-222-5900 and we will assist you. If you need assistance with the Spanish application, please contact the bilingual facilitator from your school. Thank you for this opportunity to provide you the valuable information pertaining to school meals. All students in Anne Arundel County have access to a nutritious breakfast and lunch on a daily basis. These meals fuel their brains and bodies for academic excellence. If you have any questions regarding the healthy school meals offered in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, please contact me directly at 410-222-5900. Thanks again, and continue to watch AACPS TV and tune into the next segment of Food for Thought.